AITA for asking my boyfriend to maintain distance from his girlfriends. Part I. The intriguing beginning. I know how this is going to sound. Controlling, insecure, jealous. But you tell me what you would do if your boyfriend had 3 different women, who all called themselves his girlfriends. Yes, girlfriends. Not friends who are girls. Not co-workers. Not old classmates. Note, each of them openly, proudly, calls him my favorite boyfriend, and he laughs it off. Like it's a joke, like it's funny, like it's completely normal for a guy with a relationship to have women hanging off him at parties, while telling him he's the best boyfriend they'll ever have. It all started 3 months ago at a birthday party for one of his friends. My boyfriend, Mason, is extremely social, loud, friendly, charming. The kind of guy people orbit around without even realizing it. I used to find that attractive. I used to think it meant he had a big heart. Then I met the first one, Amber. We were standing near the kitchen when she walked straight up to him, wrapped her arms around his neck, and said in this soft, breathy voice, "Hey boyfriend, you didn't text me today. I missed you." I thought she was joking. I actually laughed, until she didn't laugh back. She looked at me, slowly, deliberately, and said, "Oh, you must be the real girlfriend, cute." I tried to play it off, but I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Then came Nina, the gym girlfriend, who sends him progress pic selfies I'm not comfortable describing and calls him her spotting sweetheart. And then Jess, the work girlfriend, who buys him snacks, leaves notes in his lunch, and once told him if she ever breaks your heart, it'll be waiting. Mason says they're just playing around. Just jokes, just fun, but I'm not laughing anymore. And yesterday something happened that shattered the last bit of patience I had. The incident: we were at a mutual friend's barbecue. Everyone was drinking, dancing, teasing. Typical. Mason went inside to grab more ice, and when he didn't return, I went to see if he needed help. I found him in the hallway, with Amber. She had her hand on his chest, bodies just a little too close, whispering something that made him blush, actually blush, like a schoolboy caught flirting. I froze. He saw me first. His eyes widened. He jumped back like he'd been electrocuted. Amber turned, smirked, and said, "Relax, we were just talking." God, you're so possessive. Possessive. For catching a woman with her hand on my boyfriend's chest. That night, I finally snapped. I told him I needed boundaries. Real ones. No more girlfriends, no more flirty texts, no more chest-touching, breathy voice, lap-sitting jokes. He stared at me like I was the problem. His response: "You're being dramatic," he said. "They're harmless. They've been my friends longer than I've known you. And not dumping them because you're insecure." I told him I wasn't asking him to dump them. I was asking him to maintain distance. Respectful distance. He rolled his eyes and said, "If you trusted me, you wouldn't be threatened." We didn't talk the rest of the night. He slept on the far edge of the bed, arms crossed, breathing heavy with irritation. And now I'm lying here, wide awake, wondering. AITA for asking my boyfriend to keep some distance from women who call themselves his girlfriends. Because Mason thinks him being controlling. His friends think him overreacting. Amber even sent me a DM saying, "If you're that insecure, maybe you shouldn't date someone like him." I don't know anymore. I really don't. Party. The longer it went, the stranger it became the next morning. Mason acted as if nothing had happened. He made coffee, hummed to himself, kissed me on the forehead like we hadn't argued half the night, and said, "I've got a long shift today. Don't stress, okay?" I wanted to scream. Don't stress. He was acting like the argument had been a mosquito bite, annoying but forgettable. But I stayed quiet, partly because I was still processing, partly because I had this sinking, sharp-edged intuition that something else was going on. I just didn't know what. The messages around noon. I got a notification on my phone. Instagram. A new message from Nina. I didn't even know she had my account. "Hey. Just wanted to clear the air." Clear the air? I opened it. "And not trying to steal your boyfriend. Has like my gym brother. We joke around a lot. You don't need to be threatened." Threatened. That word again. Before I could even respond, she sent another message. "But if I were you, I'd talk to Amber. She's the one who doesn't respect boundaries. She told some people at the barbecue that Mason wouldn't stay with you long." My chest tightened, cold, heavy. I typed back shakily. "Why would she say that?" Nina replied instantly. "Because Amber thinks she and Mason have a connection. She said something happened between them last year, but I don't know if it's true." My blood ran cold. Something happened? What does that mean? I call Mason. Of course I called him. Of course I did. And of course he didn't answer. Straight to voicemail. I texted, "Call me when you can. It's important." Nothing. I kept pacing the apartment, legs shaking, mind spiraling. Finally, I grabbed my jacket and left for his workplace. I wasn't going to make a scene. I just needed to see him. Needed him to look me in the eyes and tell me Amber was lying. Except when I got there, he wasn't at work. His co-worker, Dave, said casually, "Oh yeah, Mason took the afternoon off. Said he wasn't feeling well. Not feeling well, but well enough not to tell me. Well enough to ignore my calls." I drove home, palms sweaty on the steering wheel, trying not to break down. Someone was in the apartment when I walked in. The apartment smelled like perfume. Not mine. Sweet, sugary, nauseating. The type of perfume that announces itself before a person even enters the room. My heartbeat thudded in my ears as I stepped into the living room. That's when I saw it. A wine glass. Two, actually. One on the coffee table, Mason's favorite glass, and one on the counter, lipstick stained. That same sugary perfume was strongest near the couch. My head started spinning. No. Not like this. I checked the bedroom, empty. Bathroom, empty. Then I saw something on the hallway floor. A hair tie, bright red. Not mine. My hands started trembling, and then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Hope you don't mind I stopped by to check on Mason. He seemed upset. You should really work on not stressing him out so much." My stomach dropped. Another message followed. "Amber." I snapped. I called Mason again. He finally answered. "Hey babe," he said lightly. "I was gonna call. Who was here?" My voice wasn't even mine. It was shaking, thin, brittle. He paused. What are you talking about? Don't lie to me." I'm standing in the living room. There are two wine glasses. A hair tie. It smells like someone bathed in cotton candy perfume. Tell me who was here. His tone hardened instantly. "Are you seriously accusing me of something?" Amber came by for 5 minutes to bring something she borrowed. That's it. She left right away. "Did you drink wine?" Yet, she poured herself a glass before I could stop her. Calm down. The phrase every gaslighter keeps in their back pocket. My chest tightened so much I thought I'd faint. "You told me she was a joke," I whispered. "You told me she didn't mean anything. You told me." "I told you what you wanted to hear," he snapped. "Because you blow everything out of proportion." Everything froze. I stood there in the middle of our living room, surrounded by evidence I couldn't ignore, listening to the man I loved talk to me like I was the problem. "What happened between you two last year?" I asked finally. My voice was barely audible. Silence, long, painful, telling. "Mason?" I whispered. He exhaled sharply. "You're not gonna like the answer." Final part. The truth behind his girlfriends. Mason finally spoke, but not the way I expected. He didn't sound guilty. He didn't sound ashamed. He sounded annoying, like I was interrupting something important. "Look," he said, "Amber and I hooked up once, before we were official. It didn't even mean anything." My whole body went cold. "Before we were official?" I repeated. "You told me nothing ever happened." He sighed dramatically. "I knew you'd freak out. That's why I didn't say anything. It was one time, and she misinterpreted it." Misinterpreted? That word hit me harder than the confession. "Mason Amber is in our apartment, drinking wine with you, leaving her stuff, texting me from unknown numbers. How is that misinterpreting of what I'm thinking?" "She's dramatic," he said. "Girls get clingy." Girls, plural. Exactly the word that had been haunting me since Nina said it. I swallowed hard. "Why do they call you their boyfriend?" He laughed. Actually laughed. "Because it's a joke. We mess around, flirt a bit. They think it's funny. They call you boyfriend. You call them your girls. And you brought one of them into our home while ignoring my calls. Seriously? You're being paranoid. I didn't cheat." He emphasized every word like punctuation marks stabbing the air. The breaking point. I walked to the kitchen counter and picked up the lipstick-stained glass. "Did she drink from this?" "Mason, why does it matter?" "Because she was in my home. With my boyfriend. Behind my back." He rolled his eyes so hard I felt the motion like an insult. "It's our home, and nothing happened. Then why lie about taking the day off work? Why ignore my calls? Why not tell me she came over?" "Because you overreact. Every single time." Something inside me cracked. Quietly. Deadly. "This isn't overreacting," I said softly. "This is reacting to disrespect." He was silent. I saw his expression shift from annoyance to fear to anger. "You're going to ruin us over something stupid," he muttered. "You're pushing me away." I froze. There it was. The classic reversal. In pushing you away, I whispered, "You've been emotionally cheating for months." He opened his mouth. I kept talking. I couldn't stop. "You spend more time texting them than talking to me. You flirt with them, you let them call you their boyfriend, you hide things. You bring them into our home, you let them leave lipstick on glasses, perfume on the room, hair ties on the floor. That's not cheating. It's everything cheating grows from," I said. "And you know it." Amber shows up as if summoned by the tension in the air. There was a knock at the door. 3 sharp taps. Mason tensed. I already knew who it was. I opened the door before he could stop me. Amber stood there, arms crossed, wearing the same sugary perfume, looking me up and down like I was the intruder. "Oh," she said sweetly. "I figured you two would be done fighting by now." Mason rushed to the door. "Amber, go home," he hissed. She ignored him. "You know," she said to me, tilting her head, "he really hates when you get like this. Like I was the crazy one." Something inside me snapped so cleanly it was almost peaceful. "Amber," I said calmly, "what exactly did you come here for today?" She smirked. "To make sure Mason was okay." "Why wouldn't he be okay?" I asked. Amber shrugged. "Because he gets stressed when you get emotional." "Mason." Amber, stop. She didn't. "And because he told me he wasn't sure if you two were going to last." Everything inside me went still. Mason paled. "Amber, what the hell?" But she was smiling. She wanted this. She wanted the explosion. And she got it. The truth comes out. I turned to Mason. "Did you say that?" He hesitated. And that hesitation was all the answer I needed. "Yes," Amber said for him. He said he felt trapped, that you suffocate him. Mason finally snapped. "Amber, I told you that in confidence." I blinked. "In confidence?" I repeated. "You talk about me like that?" To her. He ran a hand through his hair. I was venting. "About our relationship," I said quietly, "to a girl you hooked up with, in our home, behind my back." Amber smiled. Mason stared at the floor, and something inside me finally let go. "I ended him done," I said simply. Mason's head snapped up. "What? You heard me. I'm done. You're breaking up with me? Over this? Over her?" he shouted. "No," I said. "I'm breaking up with you because you don't respect me. Because you hide things. Because you flirt with girls who clearly want you. Because you let them think you're available. Because you make me feel crazy for noticing." He stared at me like I'd slapped him. Amber's smirk faded. "You can have him," I told her. "I don't want a boyfriend who collects girlfriends." Mason whispered, "Please don't do this." But I was already walking to the bedroom. I packed a bag. He followed me, voice cracking, saying he didn't mean it, that he was stupid, that Amber twisted things. Maybe she did, but he let her, and that was enough. The aftermath. I left that night. I turned off my location, blocked Amber's number, muted Mason's texts, dozens of them, pouring in like a broken faucet that wouldn't stop dripping apologies. I didn't respond. 3 days later, Nina messaged me again. "Has been telling everyone he messed up, that he lost the only girl who actually cared about him. I just wanted you to know. You weren't wrong." For the first time in weeks, I breathed without my chest hurting. "So AITA?" For asking my boyfriend to maintain distance from his girlfriends. For demanding basic respect. For not wanting to share my relationship with women who wanted him. No.